Even as diplomats sat down at a negotiating table in Geneva, Switzerland, Russia was launching one of its largest aerial attacks of the entire war, firing 396 drones and 29 missiles into Ukraine, targeting 12 regions, killing at least 3 people, injuring children, and leaving tens of thousands without heat, water, or electricity in the middle of a freezing February winter. That contradiction, bombs falling while peace talks begin, is the defining image of this moment in the Russia-Ukraine war. Today, February 17, 2026, marks the start of the third round of U.S.-brokered trilateral negotiations between the United States, Russia, and Ukraine in Geneva. It comes just days before the 4th anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. Expectations for a breakthrough are low. The fundamental disagreements are enormous, and the war is showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. This is the full story of what is happening in Geneva, why it matters, and what it means for America and the world. On February 24, 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a full-scale military invasion of Ukraine, the largest land war in Europe since World War II. Putin expected a swift victory. Instead, the war has dragged on for nearly 4 years, claiming hundreds of thousands of lives on both sides, displacing millions of Ukrainian civilians, and reshaping the entire global security order. Russia currently occupies approximately 20% of Ukraine's national territory, including Crimea, which it seized in 2014, and large parts of the eastern Donbas industrial region. Ukraine has fought back with remarkable resistance, supported by military aid and financial assistance from the United States and European allies. But the front line, stretching roughly 1,250 kilometers across eastern and southern Ukraine, has barely moved in over a year. Throughout the conflict, Russia has systematically targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure, power plants, heating systems, water treatment facilities, in what Ukraine and its allies describe as deliberate war crimes designed to break the civilian population's will to resist. Heading into the winter of 2025 to 2026, millions of Ukrainians have been left without reliable electricity or heating during some of the harshest weather in years. President Donald Trump, who returned to the White House in January 2025, has made ending the Russia-Ukraine war one of his top foreign policy priorities, promising during his campaign to end the war in 24 hours. That has not happened. But the Trump administration has pushed aggressively for negotiations, and these Geneva talks are the result of that pressure. The Geneva talks, scheduled for February 17 and 18, 2026, are the third round of trilateral negotiations involving the United States, Russia, and Ukraine. The first 2 rounds were held in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates and were described by participants as constructive, but produced no major breakthrough on any of the core issues dividing the 2 sides. Leading the American delegation in Geneva are 2 of Trump's closest and most trusted envoys, Steve Witkoff, Trump's special Middle East envoy who has taken on a central role in Ukraine diplomacy, and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor. The involvement of Kushner, who has no formal government title, in these negotiations has raised eyebrows among foreign policy experts and European allies. Ukraine's delegation is led by Kyrylo Budanov, the head of Ukraine's military intelligence and one of the most powerful figures in President Volodymyr Zelensky's inner circle. His presence signals that Ukraine is treating these talks as a security negotiation, not merely a diplomatic formality.
Russia's delegation, however, has raised serious concerns among observers. The Kremlin appointed Vladimir Medinsky, a former culture minister and self-described historian, as the head of its delegation. Medinsky previously led Russia's delegation at failed peace talks in the early weeks of the 2022 invasion. Ukrainian negotiators have previously accused him of using history lectures as a justification for Russia's invasion, rather than engaging seriously with peace proposals. Ukrainian and Western experts widely view his appointment as a signal that Russia is not approaching these talks in good faith, that Moscow is more interested in buying time than in reaching a genuine agreement. According to the Kremlin and multiple diplomatic sources, the Geneva talks are expected to focus primarily on two issues: territorial questions and an energy ceasefire. The territorial question is by far the most explosive. Russia is demanding that Ukraine formally cede the territories it currently occupies, including Crimea, the Donbas regions of Donetsk and Luhansk, and parts of Zaporizhia and Kherson. That would mean Ukraine legally surrendering roughly 20% of its own country, land that includes millions of Ukrainian citizens, major industrial infrastructure, and the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe. Ukraine's delegation is categorically refused to accept any peace deal that requires it to formally hand over its sovereign territory to Russia. Zelensky has repeatedly stated that he will not sign away Ukrainian land and that any ceasefire must come with strong security guarantees preventing Russia from simply rearming and invading again in the future. The second major issue, an energy ceasefire, would involve both sides agreeing to stop targeting each other's energy infrastructure. Ukraine has long pushed for this, given the devastating effect of Russian strikes on its power grid. Russia, however, has continued those strikes even as the talks began, which Ukraine's foreign minister Andriy Sybiha said demonstrated the extent to which Russia disregards peace efforts. A third issue involves the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, seized by Russian forces early in the war, whose safety has been a source of international alarm for nearly 4 years. Control of the plant remains unresolved. President Trump has made no secret of where he thinks the pressure should fall. When asked by reporters on Air Force One what he expected from the Geneva talks, Trump said, "Well, we have big talks. It's going to be very easy. I mean, look, so far, Ukraine better come to the table fast. That's all I'm telling you." That comment landed hard in Kyiv because it placed the burden of compromise squarely on Ukraine, the country that was invaded, rather than on Russia, the country doing the invading. Zelensky has repeatedly complained that Ukraine is facing the greatest pressure to make concessions, despite being the victim of Russian aggression. He attended the Munich Security Conference in Germany just days before the Geneva talks, making the rounds with European allies and trying to shore up support. He argued that diplomacy would only be effective with what he called justice and strength behind it, meaning Ukraine needs continued military and financial support from the West, not pressure to surrender territory. Trump has also suggested he may reduce or cut off American military aid to Ukraine if Kyiv does not engage seriously with negotiations, a threat that has deeply alarmed European leaders and Ukrainian officials alike. Several European nations, including Germany, France, and the United Kingdom, have signaled they would step up their own support for Ukraine if American assistance was withdrawn. The day before the Geneva talks began, Russian Army Chief General Valery Gerasimov announced that Russian forces had taken control of 12 additional settlements in eastern Ukraine this month alone, an area equivalent to 200 square kilometers. The message from Moscow was unmistakable. Russia is advancing on the battlefield, and it sees no reason to make major concessions at the negotiating table. The Geneva talks are scheduled to run through Wednesday, February 18th. Even the most optimistic observers are not predicting a ceasefire agreement or a peace deal this week. The gaps between the two sides remain enormous, and Russia's continued strikes, even as diplomats meet in Switzerland, have deepened skepticism about Moscow's intentions. But what happens in Geneva matters enormously to the United States for several reasons. First, American taxpayers have invested more than $100 billion in aid to Ukraine since the 2022 invasion, military equipment, financial assistance, and humanitarian support. The outcome of these negotiations will determine whether that investment produced a just and lasting peace or was ultimately leveraged into a deal that rewards Russian aggression. The second, the security of Europe is directly tied to American security through NATO. If Russia is allowed to permanently seize Ukrainian territory through force, it sets a precedent that could encourage future Russian military moves against NATO member states, drawing the United States directly into a far more dangerous conflict. The third, how Trump handles these negotiations will define his legacy on the world stage and signal to both allies and adversaries what American leadership means in the 21st century. A peace deal that sacrifices Ukrainian sovereignty under American pressure would be viewed by much of the world as a historic betrayal. A deal that genuinely ends the war with justice and security guarantees would be one of the most significant diplomatic achievements in decades. The fourth anniversary of the invasion arrives on February 24th, just 1 week from today. Whether the world marks that anniversary still at war or on the verge of something different may depend in part on what happens in a hotel conference room in Geneva over the next 48 hours.